Hey heroes, your host Frank Cronin here, aka GLOWPUNK. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, and all good social media stores. Just Google GLOWPUNK, or you can check out www.glowpunk.com. And this show is broadcasting live on mutinyradio.org and also on my YouTube channel, GLOWPLOW. That's my podcast channel. That's going to be a podcast and it'll be uploaded. They're hour-long shows and you can listen to them as you go to sleep on your little phone beside your head. It's going to be great. Today I'm going to be talking about getting organised, getting structured and having a great show. I'm going to be talking about Invisalign. It's those invisible braces that I'm getting on my teeth to join up these two huge buck teeth that I've been sporting for 31 years of my life. I'm going to be talking about the polarisation of men against women. Yeah, I'm getting serious. I've heard too much stuff this week not to talk about it. I'm going to talk about Mike Tyson's new one-man show. Pretty incredible. Mike Tyson has had a very, very interesting life. Love him or hate him, he makes for interesting conversation. Now, getting a little more serious and a little more down and dirty, the overprescription of painkillers in modern American society. As a blow-in, maybe I shouldn't be allowed to say anything, but my God, compared to Ireland, you guys medicate. In Ireland, you're told, go out and stand in the rain, that'll heal you. But here, you guys like to prescribe drugs, see your doctor and stuff like that. There's a lot going on. But in my own personal experiences of late, I've noticed that the overprescription of painkillers is an issue that probably needs to be tackled. I'm going to talk about the fracturing of the media. It's no longer just those big shows anymore. We can all have a blast at this media entertainment business. Hence why me, a little prick from Ireland, is able to talk to you. And whether you like it or not, I may be talented or not. Not. But yeah, you can listen in now to me talking crap. Why should I have a voice? We're going to talk about haters, because that comes with the territory of YouTube and anybody who's doing relatively well in their life. Anybody who's having a little bit of luck, haters appear like trolls under a bridge. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about living in the jungle in Mexico. I spent a week there about 2 years back at the Sótano de los Golondrinos, where all the birds live in a big hole. It's one of the biggest holes on earth, and I checked it out, and I lived with a family on their roof in a tent for about a week, living off the land. It was great, in the jungles of Mexico in Veracruz. Let's see, is marriage still important? That's my next topic. My God, I'm organised. I'm impressing myself right now. This is incredible. Saving the planet. Should the kids be in charge? They seem to be the only ones left with morals. I'd say it's definitely up for debate. And the importance of fitness in your life in general. Not because I'm a big fitness freak, but because of late I've been trying to get fit, trying to be as fit as I've ever been at 31. Now, I'll probably finish up on a little bit called the ridiculousness of life, and then that's it. That's it. So now you see I have structure. And with that structure, I'm going to go into my first song from a band called Hubble Mountain. Listen in. that is an amazing song. That is from a band called Hubble Mountain. It's called Sinking Heads. Check them out on SoundCloud. Anyway, I don't want this to start sounding like a real radio show, so yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about that song. Basically, they're cousins of mine or distant relatives, I don't know how. They're based in Connecticut, and their music is awesome. If any of you guys have been paying attention to what we're doing on the GLOWPUNK channel, you notice that I'm working with a comedian, a famous American comedian called Dana Carvey, of Wayne's World fame, etc., etc., and we're making little videos called The Funster, Funster. Check them out. Anywho, moving swiftly along and back onto the plan. Stay structured, Frank. Don't get lost. It's not that complicated. So, I said I was going to talk about Invisalign. A lot of you people out there probably grew up with crooked teeth. Especially you Irish people or of Irish descent over here in America. Or anyone living anywhere near Irish people. They probably have crooked teeth just by hanging around with them. The Irish we're not famously, you Americans have perfect smiles, whereas I have a perfectly good Irish smile. You get it? Anywho, I actually had braces as a kid. I got a tooth kicked out when I was about 9 or 10 in a football match. I like to tell people it was because my father was violent, but he wasn't. He was a great man. No, I got it kicked out in a football match, and yeah, ever since then, I guess my options in regards to getting my teeth fixed were a little bit limited. So I have, my trademark gap in my front 2 teeth. And, yeah, I decided, starting to make a little bit of money now, I think I'll get my teeth fixed. I'm not particularly self-conscious about them, but I do know that it helps to have good teeth when you're getting into the entertainment business. People have told me that. If you're going to be on camera, having a good set of Delph is where you want to be. So I invested. It's going to cost about $10,000 in all. $7,000 for the Invisaligns, which are basically these see-through plastic gum shields that you put in your teeth that are slightly different, and they do laser imaging and everything beforehand, and then over time then your teeth are gradually pushed into the exact position that you want. So what I've got now is I've got little fake enamel bumps on 4 of my lower bottom teeth, and this little gum shield just slips on like so. You can hear it clicking on. It doesn't actually make me talk any different, and you can barely see it. It's very thin. So rather than those big ganky metal braces that I grew up with, now apparently you don't even have to go through the trauma of being a metal mouth. You can just have these plastic things on your head and no one will even know. And you can slowly get perfect teeth. That's all I wanted to mention. But it's kind of pricey, right? They literally do laser imaging, which I guess, 400 or 500 quid. Now, I'll give them that. But then after that, they're just making gum shields. I guess you're paying for the product. What about you guys out there? Any of you guys got Invisalign? Any problems with them? The old braces, at least, you could kind of, you knew you were getting fixed, and you paid the price because they used to cut into the inside of your mouth. But with these, there's basically very little pain, and all you got to do is remember to put in your gum shield. You wear them like 22 hours a day while you're sleeping. The first few days of every new gum shield is a little bit painful because, the pressure. But after a while, you really don't notice it. It's a fantastic invention. Anyway, that's all I wanted to touch base. You guys out there, I know a lot of you have perfect teeth, so you wouldn't even need to see braces or Invisalign. But I do think, if you're getting into the entertainment business, unfortunately, you got to have a good smile. And also, here's a little truth for you. Frankie Cronin, growing up, relatively well-rounded individual in regards to personality, not a complete freak. I'm definitely a little bit weird, a little bit quirky, but not a complete freak. So I used to always meet these lovely girls, and I used to punch well above my weight. I don't know why, but they used to put up with me. They used to put up with this mental personality. Now, they used to say things like this, and this is why I have Invisalign. You're a really nice guy. I really like you. But those fucking teeth. Yeah, that's all true. No, they didn't. Anywho, moving on. A little more music from Hubble Mountain because, I'll be honest with you, I like him. 1 second. Yeah, so that song is called Your Favorite Stars by Hubble Mountain again. Now, any of you guys out there listening are in a band, send me in your music, I'll play it. And get in now while early, while there's not that much competition. There's a lot of people listening to these podcasts, would you believe, online. Rumours are thousands, so, I don't know why they're listening, but you may as well make the most of it and send me in your original music. Just send me a downloadable link on my Facebook page. Just look up GLOWPUNK or Frank Cronin GLOWPUNK on Facebook. Or you can tweet it to me at GLOWPUNK or whatever you want, okay? Now, next topic on the agenda, because today this podcast is fucking organized. We're going to talk about the polarization of men against women. I don't know what it is, guys, but when I grew up, I knew that you just treated people with respect. It didn't matter whether it was a man or a woman, right? But now what I've come across is that there's this kind of pendulum effect. I read a little bit about it when I was studying psychology in college, and not to sound too high and mighty, but the general gist of it was that after a while, when somebody is being oppressed, or a group of people have been oppressed or repressed, that it swings back way past the midpoint or a well-balanced point. So what I've noticed online and all over the web recently is that basically what I thought a feminist was when I was growing up was somebody who fought for the rights for equal opportunities for women. But what I seem to be encountering more and more, and obviously you can't generalize, but there seems to be kind of men-hating groups out there, which kind of seems silly because it's also a little annoying. I don't go around hating on women. So therefore, when people hate me just because I'm a man, something I didn't choose, it gets a little bit annoying. And the polarization of men against women is not something we want. So rather than these groups, men on one side, women on the other, and this is kind of reminiscent of blacks against whites. It's getting to the point where being a man or being a woman is more important than your character. You know what I'm saying to you? It's getting annoying. Could the hardline feminists who want men to suffer and struggle please just not tar everybody with one brush? It gets very tiring for the people who are actually well balanced and grew up with respect for women. It's very hard to respect an individual, because I won't say women. It's very hard to respect an individual who is basically a man-hater. Now, there's a long way to go before women achieve equal rights and equal status with men. But, let's not do the old pendulum effect. Let's not swing so far that you guys who want equality are actually looking for everything above and beyond what a man has, and the subjugation of men being your ultimate goal. Equality, guys. Equality. Just because I'm a man doesn't mean I hate women. That's what I'm trying to say. If this isn't coming across right, that's probably because you're one of the man haters. Whatever happened to a man being allowed to be a man and a woman allowed to be a woman? What does that even mean, I guess you'd say? But say a man wants to be the man to go to war, and a woman wants to be the woman who stays and minds the kids. Is that all right with the feminists? With these hardline ones? No, God, I'm tearing the whole feminist nation with it. I'd say within a week there'll be a comment under this podcast on YouTube, on GLOWPUNK channel, complaining that I have little or no understanding of the issue. And they'd be right. But speaking from my own experience, it is getting a little tiring, guys. I'd love to hear what you think about that. Equality for all. That's what I'm about. But is that even possible? There's another question for you. Feel free to comment below. Or maybe we have to pay the price as men, because we've been living a patriarchal society for so long. There is one matriarchal society, I think it's in the Philippines. Who am I kidding? All societies are matriarchal. The men just think they're in charge. Anyway, moving on swiftly with a little more music, and we'll be back talking about Mike Tyson's new one-man show. He's hitting Broadway. He can barely speak, but by God, that man can entertain. song is called Telekinetic Forest Guard by Overhead the Albatross. They're worth checking out on YouTube. Just really talented musicians. There's about 9 or 10 of them in the band. They all get together and just jam. That was recorded in a recording studio in RTE, which is like Ireland's CNN or whatever, or the Irish equivalent of something media worthy. Anywho, yeah, so they're just great. You know, that kind of music just blows you away, takes you to a different land. That kind of magicalness, that madness, deedly doodly deedly dum, and all that. So the bass player in that band is actually a friend of mine called Luke Daly, and he helped direct a great video by a band called Walking on Cars. Now, I don't have access to their music right now, but you should check out Walking on Cars, a great band from Kerry. Now, Luke Daly directed that. He also helped direct a movie that myself and a good friend of mine who I was in the army with, Stuart King, wrote, and we still haven't released it, but we'll get it out there at some point. But yeah, Luke Daly playing bass there with Overhead the Albatross. Now, moving on, guys. As promised, I was going to talk about the fracturing of the media. The fracturing of the media. What do I mean? I mean that pillocks like me can basically get on the media and rise to prominence and have their say, and people will listen. Whereas years ago, there were lots of gatekeepers and nobody could get anywhere unless they were, you know, liked by the established media. So the new media like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, it gives everybody a chance, you know, to rise. But the competition is fierce because everybody nowadays can make a movie. Everybody nowadays, like myself here, sitting in my own room at home, can make a podcast, can make a radio show. Insane. Years ago, it would have cost thousands and thousands of dollars to do something like this. But now, look at it. The fractured media, everybody. So is the competition more fierce? Or maybe it's not. Maybe it was harder years ago. Years ago when people, you know, only had a certain amount of space on the airwaves to be heard. But, you know, that's probably the way things should be. Everybody gets a chance to be heard. In the same way, a person in the deepest, darkest part of the world with nothing but a mattress and a sheet and a phone with a recorder on it can make a podcast. Isn't that fantastic? We've come a long way, guys. We've come a long way. Do you ever think about your blueprint that you'll leave, or your footprint, your media footprint that you'll leave? You know? We're going to all leave media footprints for years. The poor fuckers years ago had to build the pyramids. They had to build the Tower of Pisa to be remembered. They had to paint lying on their backs. That was a Michelangelo. Michelangelo had to lie on his back for about 9 years painting the Sistine Chapel. Please God, let it be Michelangelo. Please God, make it look like I'm educated. Please God. Oh, shit. Are they listening? I think so. Anywho, yeah. But now, now to last for eternity, all we need to do is upload a video onto YouTube. So things have got a little bit easier. But is it a good thing? Should we be exposed to all sorts of ideas? Is there anything that we shouldn't see? Like, you know, there's a lot of videos. I think there's a website called Ogrish. When I was a kid, it was rotten.com. Ogrish.com. We're looking at, if you've got a strong stomach, I mean, you can see really horrible things happen to people. But I don't know, maybe we're overprotected. Maybe we need to see those things to remind ourselves of the fragility of life. But basically those websites, to my best understanding, show people getting hurt, you know, coming off bikes, getting run over, decapitations, you know, all these things that happen, but in general people don't know about. Do you guys hear, I'm going back to this tangent-based stuff, it's a lot more fun. Do you guys remember the film Apocalypse? It was pretty awesome. I think it was by Mel Gibson. I'm not sure if he was, I don't know. We'll go on. Anyway, it was by him, and yeah, in the Apocalypse they talked about fear as if it was a disease, you know? Which kind of made sense. Because fear is a disease, you know? Until you're exposed to things that can affect you, you don't live in fear. Now I imagine most of you listeners out there being the type of people and living in the world that we're living in the fractured media, where everybody can see everything and learn everything, and people are watching porn at the age of 12 and coming into school more educated than we were when we went to university at 20. You guys might agree that that some of this stuff is, overkill? Do we really need to see somebody, cut their head open on a rock diving into a swimming pool? Do we need to see all this stuff? Is it of any benefit to us? I would argue that it is. Is that all right? Is that all right to say? I would argue that it is, because it reminds us about the finite amount of time that we have on this earth. That seems to be like my my mantra, my motto. You're dying, make the most of it. Somebody gave out to me in the comments before saying, oh, you can't be talking about death all the time. I say talk about it. Be aware of it. Make the most of your life. Don't live in fear. Don't contract that disease, as they said in Apocalypse. Take risks, take chances, because you're dead soon. Take a chance, make a video. You don't have to build a huge pyramid anymore. You can just upload a video of a flash of a cats, and then put some music over it. Cat listening to dubstep music or whatever. Actually, there's a video if you want to laugh, guys. Put in cat dubstep. Pick one out with a lot of views. It'll make you laugh. It's awesome. Yeah, so that's it. Cats and the internet. The fracturing of the media. That's what we've been reduced to. Years ago, you'd have to work tooth and nail to be exposed to 20 million people. Now you can get 20 million views just by putting some dubstep music and making a very good edit of a cat. Now, I'm not saying it's not genius, but is that what we want? Comment below. Next subject coming up after our next little bit of music is my time living in the jungle, in a tent, on a roof, with a very poor family, beside the Sotano de los Golondrinos, where thousands and thousands upon thousands of birds come out of one of the biggest holes in the earth. If you look up David Attenborough, or base jumping into a big hole in Mexico, you'll see what I'm talking about. People used to base jump into this hole. It's so big. I think it's like 400, 500 meters deep. They stopped base jumping though because the eggs of the birds that lived inside were getting cracked as the parachutes opened. So it was good to see. But I've promised to go back. I made a lot of friends while I was there. And you can climb down into the cave. When I was growing up, David Attenborough and Michael Palin, they were the guys who I revered. And still do, because they're still active and still very clever. Well, I know David Attenborough is. Actually, I haven't heard a lot from Michael Palin recently. But check out those guys, David Attenborough, Michael Palin. They'll make you happy. They'll remind you that there's a whole world out there, and that you shouldn't be wasting your time listening to some tool because of the fractured media talking about Mike Tyson and such. Oh, I was supposed to talk about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's got a new one-man show. Awesome. I mean, I'm not too sure what to make of this guy. Some people believe he was wrongly accused. He would be the best person to fit up for abuse against women, because he was, and openly admits he was, a misogynist and aggressive and treated women very badly. But now he has a one-man show. I believe it's on Broadway, or at least it's touring. And I'll read you the little caption from his website. Michael Tyson. The show is called Undisputed Truth. And as you might know, he was Iron Mike Tyson, youngest heavyweight boxer in the world. Made it to be the best, biggest boxer in the world by the age of 20. Anyway, it says Mike Tyson, Undisputed Truth, is a rare personal look inside the life and mind of one of the most feared men ever to wear the heavyweight crown. Now, I don't think he ever wore a crown, did he? He was given a belt. If he wore a crown, it would have been a little bit effeminate for him. Anyway, directed by the Academy Award-winning nominee Spike Lee, this riveting one-man show goes beyond the headlines, beyond the scenes and between the lines to deliver a must-see theatrical knockout. Whoever wrote that little blurb, genius, a theatrical knockout. I see what you did there. Puntastic. Any whore. Yeah, so check it out, worth a Google. What I like to do on this show, as you've noticed, is I like to point you in things to check out. You know, last week it was hashtag Blackfish. Google that if you didn't listen in last week. This week I'm saying check out Mike Tyson's Undisputed Truth. It's just interesting to see a man who has had such a different life to 90%, to a large population of the world. He came from nothing. His mum was, as far as I know, was a prostitute. He lived in a abandoned tenement building. He had no father figure. His trainer became his father figure. He had a drug addiction. Now he's got kids. He's lost his daughter. Now he's on stage doing a show, and he seems like a really a nice guy, or at least somebody who's trying to embrace life. And you know, love him or hate him, he really genuinely comes across as somebody who has been to hell and back, and is just, you know, trying to learn about life and not waste his time on this planet. So I would revere him for that. Biting off ears, potentially raping women, or at least he was convicted of that. Obviously, I hate him for that. But, you know, biting the ear, actually, I don't know. When you're a kid, you bite things. Seems, you know, Evander Holyfield forgave him, I think we can forgive him. Was another lovely little musical interlude there by the wonderful Hubble Mountain. Check him out on SoundCloud.com. Yeah, as if you didn't know that it was a .com. Come on, who you kidding, Frankie boy? This is the 90s. Little throwback to my friend Kinger. Anywho, yeah, I said I'd talk about it. I'm still going to talk about it. Not that it's that contentious, but it is affecting a lot of people across the States right now, and that's the overprescription of painkillers leading to what has been called a heroin epidemic, and it's affecting a lot of people. Every socioeconomic class, every echelon of society, every strata. Any more words there you can use? Your thesaurus-like brain, Frank, is showing off. No, well anyway, it's affecting a lot of people. It's affecting people across America, across the world. Basically, years ago, people, according to one argument, weren't getting enough painkillers. Enough people were suffering too much pain. There was research done. So some laws were changed, and companies were allowed to make, and doctors were allowed to prescribe more painkillers. And a company makes, more than one company makes pills called oxycodone pills, which is for moderate to severe pain. Now, these are opiates, from puppies. You know, what else comes from puppies? Heroin. And it's become, it's become a huge problem here. Kids are breaking an arm. Adults breaking an arm. Judges, secretaries, pilots, everyone. Doesn't matter what you're doing with your life. You could be a huge success. You could be a waste of space. But you break an arm, you get prescribed one of these pills. By the time you stop taking these pills, guess what? You're hooked on opiates or opioids. There's people who know a lot more about it than me, but I want to draw your attention to it. Check it out. Heroin epidemic in the States. It's very sad. It's affecting a lot of people. And as a result, I've done a little bit of research on it because it interests me, because it's hitting close to home. Chances of a heroin addict, there's lots of different studies out there, but if you're a heroin addict, there is a 1 in 5 chance that if you're a long-term user of heroin, you will die. There is a strong correlation between those who take these oxycodone pills and the people who end up on heroin. So 1 in 5 chance you die. So stay away from those pills, guys. They're being passed around at parties like sweets, like beers. Years ago, people used to just have a few beers at a party to relax them. And I've seen it here myself. There's these pills in a bowl when you go to some parties. And yeah, people are just getting caught up, become heroin addicts. They graduate up. They go from pill to smoking to injecting intravenously to, unfortunately, death in some cases. And it's a very sad spiral, because on the way, you will do terrible things both to yourself and to your family just to get your hands on the drug. So check it out, guys. Don't take a chance with those oxycodone pills. I didn't have to worry about it when I was growing up. By the time I was 17, 18, you know, beer was the beer, weed, maybe a few hallucinogenic mushrooms. I guess cocaine was around, but that was too scary for me. But these things, you know, heroin just destroys people. You're literally, it's like it's a disease, and you're just a shadow. You're like a ghost controlled by this substance, to the point where it's all you think about. You know, you'll sell your grandfather clock from your mum's house. You'll sell your the possessions of the people you love just to get your hands on the drugs. It starts off £5 buying $5, $10, $15 bag, and get you high. By the end of the year, or after a few months, you could be spending anything from $100 to $1,000 a week. You know, because your receptors get so used to it that they need more and more and more. So it starts out as like, yeah, it's gonna be, here, try this. There's also some people who get caught out. They think they're smoking weed, and their prick friend doesn't tell them that they're doing fucking smoking heroin. Huh? You don't stand a chance against this drug. That's what I'm saying. You don't stand a fucking chance. And I've seen, I used to live with a drug addict when I was living in Mexico. I only found out she was a drug addict when I stopped living there. It was nothing romantic. We just happened to be roommates. But she was addicted to the pills. She wasn't injecting, thank God. I believe once you inject, that's that's the end of the road. But there is lots of things you can do. You can go on to methadone, Suboxone. There's a new wonder shot called Vivitrol. You can tell by the way I'm talking about this stuff that I've had to deal with a little bit of it lately, and I just want to send a little warning out, even if one person pays attention. I'll even go as far as to say, take every other drug, just don't take these oxy pills. If you hear the word oxy, don't take it. If you hear the word heroin, most people know it's a taboo anyway in my generation, but you know, you're basically taking heroin in a pill, guys, if you're going near this oxy stuff. Anyway, that's my public service announcement for the day. Go fuck yourselves if you don't want to listen. I think it was worth a while. I care about you. I do, genuinely. So, spread the word. Don't take oxys. You're not fucking cool. Drink beer, get smashed. Get smashed. Drive drunk. Shoot cops. Just don't take oxys. Obviously, I'm joking. PC. Politically correct. You gotta be politically correct, Frank. It's a radio show. You're an influencer. Go fuck yourselves.
Think it over before you start.
musical interlude. Do you know what I'm guessing? Radio shows used to be just guys talking like my early podcast, but what it actually is just the radio DJ just is a lazy piece of lard. And by putting on music, he can basically just head off to the toilet and head off and hang out and do nothing. So basically, I only worked for half of this hour. You guys had to listen for the full hour. But with music, I only had to work for half it. Anyway, on to the old next topic. The ridiculousness of life. You know? I don't know. Is it that ridiculous? Who knows? For me, every now and then, you take a step back from your life and you just, put everything in perspective. And literally the best part of life was probably when you were a baby. When you're sucking at the old boob. Suckity booby. It was great. And you might say, oh, that's a bit of a childish thing to say, Frank. No, it's not. It's reality. Things were good. Life and everything was great. There was no stress, no strain. Arguably, I guess, the stress and strain of life is what makes life worth living. You're on a journey. You're going to learn. You're going to live. But it makes me think, and I guess I'm being sarcastic because that's usually, when I haven't figured out things, I'm usually sarcastic about them. But, life, it's just like this formulaic existence that we all pretend that we've got control over and we can manipulate. But basically, we're kids. We go to school and we go to high school. If we're lucky, while we're in primary school, we have our first kiss. High school, we might do a little bit more. I don't know. I don't want to pressure anyone. You're an influencer now, Frank. You got to be careful. And then you go to university, you get your degree because you're told a degree is what you like. I guess these are first world problems, I guess. And then you go out into the workforce into a job that has nothing to do with your degree. Nothing. Or you think, oh, you studied how to save the whales. You end up working in like BP or something doing accounts, British Petroleum, Texaco, wherever you get your gas. Anyway. And then, after that, then you get a mortgage, you settle down with a woman you end up hating, and you make a kid that you half hate because you hate the woman. And then you realize that you're not due together, you've messed up your kid, you separate, and then you marry the woman of your dreams who just happens to be 50 years younger than you because you're a misogynist, and all the man haters tell you that you don't love her, you're only using her, and then it just goes worse. You pick up a drug habit, you're fucking out of your head on oxycodone pills, you graduate up to heroin, you get clean, you start playing guitar, you're in your late 50s, you realize that you should have been a musician, then you die. So yeah, just the ridiculousness of life. But I guess the underlying message, as there is always one deep underlying message in my rants, is, get busy doing what you want to do. Stop playing that game, guys. Stop playing the game. Stop playing the game. Do what you want to do. I've tried it. I'm over here in California trying to get into the comedy business, I left it too late. Actually, I didn't have a great life. I was in the army for 6 years, going around. It's like an adventure camp. The Irish Army. You don't really go to war. You go to war zones, but you're peace enforcing. I didn't have to cock my weapon or shoot anyone. I was delighted with myself. Got away without a murder. Awesome. But in general though, guys, life is short. It's worth noting. It's worth noting. I don't want to be too sad. I don't want to make anyone sad and depressed. But you only get one of these lives, unless of course you believe that you get many, and then you're probably you're gonna be sickened because I know you only get one. No, only messing. But yeah. Just, grab life by the short and curlies. Make the most of it. Take every chance you can. It's going to be over soon. Did you want to write a poem that blew everybody away? Well, start writing poems, because it's going to take about 10,000 poems before you write that one that blows everybody away. There's another little tangent for you guys. 10,000 hours. Malcolm Gladwell. Google him. Malcolm Gladwell. 10,000 hours. Fascinating. I think you'll enjoy it. Basically, it takes 10,000 hours for anybody to reach, an expert level in their field. Obviously, genetics and innate talent comes into it and all that kind of stuff. But you can compete with the best of them after 10,000 hours. The Beatles got their 10,000 hours playing, I believe, was it Hamburg or somewhere like that? Hamburg, before they became famous, they were jamming for 8-hour sets a day in some little stripper bar in the middle of nowhere. And then they were launched onto the world stage. Everybody thought they were just thrown together, but the reality was they got their 10,000 hours in. Then you got people like me. I'm in hour number 3 of the podcast, so a long way to go. You know, but making it happen, trying. Ryan Seacrest. Ryan Seacrest, a world name in radio. I believe I met him actually. I was at dinner where he was, and he was all right. I met Michael Bublé at the same dinner. It was pretty cool. There was a red carpet and everything. Savage, loved it. And who's your one out of No.2? I'm just a girl. Yeah, she was there. Anywho, Ryan Seacrest. Yeah, he started in school making radio announcements from the secretary's office. You know, in between classes, making announcements for the school. By the time he was finished up, he had figured it all out, broadcasting media. And he's also very clever. He's like Mr. Business, you know? Mr. Business. Because artists stay poor. Ryan Seacrest got rich because he thinks business. He monetizes things. Actually, I'm in America now making this. But in Ireland, would you believe that Ryan Seacrest is on the radios over there? He does his top 100 or whatever, top 20 songs. Or I don't know what he does. But people pay him for his podcast or his content and his voice because he's such a brand. And just to say that Ryan Seacrest, you have Ryan Seacrest on your radio, so you can buy like 2 hours of Ryan Seacrest if you have a big radio station, and then everyone goes, wow, they've got Ryan Seacrest. Well, I'll tell you what, he's franchised out to about 500 radio channels across the world, making millions. I think he's worth about 50 million now. Actually, here's one for you guys. If you ever want to find out how much a celebrity is worth, just to motivate you to get going, if money is what you want, which I don't think it should be, but money comes if you really put your heart into anything, usually, is check out Celebrity Net Worth. Here's a little song that I made myself, which I'm kind of proud of, although it is just a mess around recording. Yeah, let me know what you think. It's called Never Ever. It's a Frank Cronin original. Check it out. There you go, guys. That's my first time ever sharing a song that I wrote and played guitar for. So, I don't know, taking a chance. See what you think. Let me know. Peace.